Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Friday Finance and Frothies. We're coming to you from a Thursday this week because of the public holiday for the grand final day here in Victoria. So cheers, Pete.
Cheers. I've gone a ginger beer this week as well, just to sort of, freshen me
Fancy.
up before the weekend.
Very good. So the market's down around about 10 points for the week so far, coming to you on a Thursday. And that's due to a drop today. And mainly the big losers of today have been AMP and Domino's. So the bad luck for AMP seems to continue. But what's your biggest news for the week, Pete?
Bad luck. I don't know if it's luck or just invited trouble. Big news for the week. I think Afterpay caught my attention this week. So currently it's broken through the $100 barrier per share. So not that, the share price necessarily means anything, but this has had a phenomenal year considering it's been below $10 at one point. So, and this is off the back of news that Westpac has announced a partnership with them. So pretty exciting times. So it's sort of definitely well and truly broken into the mainstream. And as a result, Westpac's actually sort of offloading their 10% or so stake in Zipco, which is a competitor to...
Copped a bit of pain today.
Oh, did I? I haven't actually checked their price today, but yeah, I'm sure there's a little bit of flooding on the market and off that news. So yeah, that buy now, pay later space continues to attract headlines. So it's very rare I don't sort of get a day where Afterpay is somewhere in my my headline feed. So what about you? What have you got?
So I think what's very recent news today. So Christine Holgate, who's Australia's highest paid civil servant, so the boss at Australia Post, has been stood down pending investigation, so pending government investigation around the purchase of $12,000 of cardio watches for 4 executives. So she's bought them as a little gift. She said, well, they did a good job, but I think it's a bit on the nose at the moment, considering a lot of Australians are out of work. And then you've got something that's paid for by the taxpayer going and spending 12 grand on luxury watches.
And you can't even get express post delivered next day, which is a little bit frustrating. So I don't know how good these execs are doing, but interesting to see. They publish photos of these said watches.
There's
I'm
no
intrigued.
photos out yet, so it'll be
I've never actually seen a watch that is that expensive. So I'll be interested to see what one of them look like and what it does that's so much better than an Apple Watch.
Yeah, so interesting times there. There's going to be an interesting watch to see what happens and whether the government get rid of her or she gets another life.
That was a great use of a pun, by the way, Zach. It'll be an interesting watch. Well done. So A plus.
Yeah, I didn't even realise. So also on this week, we did the podcast episode on alternative investments. So this is a space that you do quite a bit of work in and look at quite a lot, Pete. So what was your biggest takeaway from the episode?
I think what was really interesting is just how hard it is to define and sort of narrow down what is an alternative. It's a large umbrella term for things that aren't traditional. So it's actually easier to define an alternative investment by what it's not. So it's not the traditional long only equities, fixed income. So yeah, it was interesting, and how much you'd allocate to a portfolio, where to start, what are some of the most common ones, and how they're used. I think probably hopefully the bit that we demystified a bit was, people sort of confuse it thinking they're high risk, when if you added correctly to a portfolio, can actually sort of reduce the volatility. So yeah, I thought that was the key takeaway for me. I don't know what you got from it, but yeah, it was a good session. We really smashed it out. It was high quality content.
That's it. So give that a listen. Yeah, my biggest takeaway was that, and just doing your research before. So making sure you understand what the fund's objectives are before you go into it, because a lot of these alternative funds can have different objectives, which means potentially different returns. You need to be aware of what they're trying to do, and then you can see if it's going to benefit your portfolio or not.
Yeah, don't get sucked in by the fancy name that they label it. So that's the marketing department. You want to read the PDFs, actually sort of see what the brains trust behind the scenes are doing with it.
That's it. So give that podcast a listen. As always, if you've got any questions, email us at connect@picardo.com.au. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Cheers, Pete.
Ginger beer up.